Welcome to exclusive coverage of the 2018 World Chess Championship with Passant, the finest chess club in southeastern Connecticut. So it's Fabiano Caruana, the great hope, the great American hope, not since the 70s, and Bobby Fischer has there been an American contender for the World Chess title against the one and only Magnus Carlsen, who many think is the greatest player of all time. It's Carlsen's third title defense. He's held the title since 2013. And it looks like it's going to be a great series throughout the month of November. The first to 6.5 games wins. It's going to be good, partly because, let's see. Out of their classical game record, Magnus has won 10, Fabiano has won 5, and there's been 19 draws. So there's been a lot of winning and losing, which is always great. And Fabiano, there's Fabi, he's known for taking risks, for playing really sharp games. And Magnus himself said, yeah, you got to watch out for Fabiano. So Magnus knows what he's up against. Also, Fabiano's really been on a hot streak in 2018. He's up to world number 2, just points behind Magnus on the ratings list. So looks like it's going to be a good match. However, Magnus, there he is. He's just incredible. And also he has the experience of having gone through this month-long match series head-to-head, which is physically and mentally draining and exhausting. So that is another advantage he has. But some people think that he's not always quite as into it as you need to be to stay on top. Interestingly enough, his sister recently gave an interview and said that she thinks he's going to retire soon or semi-retire. Pretty funny. Like, yo, sis, why you got to do that to me? It might just partly be his media persona or whatever, but this was his last tweet before the match. There he is, just a cool Norwegian out skiing a few days before he travels to London. He's a huge soccer fan. He plays soccer. He's a big NBA fan. He shows up courtside now and then NBA games. And so it's led some people to think, does he really want it? Because, staying on top takes so much time preparation. But whatever. He's a huge competitor. And, of course, for the month of November, you better believe he's going to be on top of his game. And he's going to want to win. And he's the favorite, for sure. So let's get into it. There they are, starting on Friday, November 9th. Woody Harrelson, of all people, chess fan, makes the first symbolic move. I believe he also knocked over Fabiano's king in the process and also made the wrong move. But anyway, start off with e4. Fabiano has the white pieces. And Magnus responded quite surprisingly with the Sicilian. Not his typical response. Maybe trying to throw Fabiano off guard right from the start. Fabiano exchanges, and he loses the bishop, but he ends up messing with pawn structure a little bit. These following moves are all pretty normal. Nothing too crazy here. Although I must say, here this move, Fabiano is preparing for the standard f4 push to free up the f file and get his rooks ready. I must say, though, Magnus, if you look at his journey, his knight here, pretty crazy. Not something I would do. I'd be scared as hell to castle my king. But here he is, world champ. He knows what he's doing. Putting his horse right up next to his king. His king still in the middle, but he's cool cool, calm, and collected. There's the F4 push. And he has the rooks doubled. The queen gets on this tasty diagonal. And there you go, Magnus castles queenside, and hey, his king sure looks safe over there. It's got lots of nice squares, protection. And Fabiano jumps in with his knight. Already, we're on move 17, 18, and the GM commentators are starting to freak out and say, wow, Magnus's position is looking really comfortable. Mainly, it's just these two bishops are just such beasts. They have such great scope. And meanwhile, compare Fabiano's bishop here on e3. I mean, they can't even move. Also, his knight is not that great. His knight right now can't move. Once this knight moves out of the way, his bishop can take b2. And I think it kind of shows that, in fact, things aren't that great for Fabiano. The fact that he has to make this move, moving his knight to this not so ideal square. And you see this great dark square bishop is just unleashed. So kind of crazy. It's like, how did this happen? Move 18, and Fabiano was already not so pleased with his, I mean, whatever. Material's even. It's not a catastrophe, but Magnus came up with a great opening here. Unbelievable. And look at this this move. Basically, Fabiano has to try to stop these pawns from storming down. But now look at how airy his king is. Already, I'm looking at some commentary up here from Sam Shankland on chess.com. Sam is the current U.S. chess champion. And he already thinks that Fabiano may very well lose this game with white. So kind of nerve-wracking. Not to mention Fabiano is also down on time. He has about 20 minutes left to make 20 moves. Not ideal. So let's see what happens. This is that move right here, knight moving back, was the first kind of dubious move of Magnus. If you notice, there are 3 attackers on this pawn on f6, and currently there are 3 defenders. But then Magnus just gives up his pawn. Maybe playing some head games or whatever, saying, hey, I have time, make you think. Also, people said maybe he wanted to free up the f-file for himself and say, just go ahead, take my pawn. I've got such a great attack. I want to put my rooks on the f-file. I don't know. But Fabiano said, okay, I'll take it. And then I'll just move back. So maybe the first mistake by Magnus. So there, Magnus continues to ravish the king side. This is kind of scary. A little bit wide open there. But here, Fabiano at least does start to get some much needed exchanges. It does make things feel a little better, but things are still looking pretty scary for him. And Magnus gets back the pawn. So material is even. The difference is, of course, king safety. Magnus's king is sitting pretty, no problems whatsoever. And meanwhile, there's a literal onslaught over here. But Fabiano, man, these guys can defend. They can defend. And here is the second of what it was labeled as a dubious move by Magnus. Basically, if you go back here, if you notice these dark squares, they're just inviting the queen. The queen can go here and then look to get on c3, and these pawns are going to drop with check, and it's going to be a disaster. Or another option could be to go up here and continue dominating the G file, and then also looking to here, looking to come to here, things would be really scary. But he chose not to do that, and instead he moved to g1. Basically forces Fabiano to block off his queen with a knight there. Because again, if the queen gets over there, c1, a1, things looking scary. So, Fabiano's defending, but man, is he all tied up and awkward. Oops. Okay. Continues running with his king. I'll do the same. Get the hell out of there. And then Magnus goes back here. The difference now, though, is that now he's leading with his bishop. Yes, this pawn is a goner. But Fabiano also gets a pawn. So Fabiano looks like maybe, he's holding on. He's defending with all his might. Now it presents a great opportunity to exchange queens. And man, Fabiano's going to breathing a sigh of relief. Queens are off, and that will only make a draw easier for Fabiano. And now we have the running past pawns. But Magnus will be able to get back in time to stop. No problem there. And right around now, the GM commentator is saying, looks like we're headed to a draw. You notice here a nice little tactic. Magnus can take this right away. You might think, hey, he lost his bishop. But here comes Harry. And forces the rook to take. And Magnus can get back this knight. So, that's it. It's almost hard to convey the amount of stress and excitement during that game when it happens in real time, partly because of Fabiano's time trouble, and also what seemed just like an unstoppable attack on the king side. But Magnus made a couple of mistakes. Oh, here, by the way, they're at move 57, and they go until move 115, because Magnus always tries to eke out whatever small advantage he has. If you notice, he has one extra pawn, but Fabiano defends perfectly. He makes sure that the rooks stay on, and basically keeps his rook on the 6th and 5th rank to try to stop pawn pushes. And Magnus will try for another hour of play. I believe they went into 6 hours of play. Pretty exhausting. But Fabiano holds on to the draw. So anyway, maybe a little bit hard to convey just how exciting that first game was, and also kind of unbelievable that that Magnus could have taken the game almost by move 20. He made a couple of mistakes. Maybe it was nerves. Who knows? Hard to say. But also, I mean, Fabiano defended pretty brilliantly. But, he was defending the entire game pretty much. So Fabiano's got to be a little disappointed about his start. Magnus also for losing the win. But it was an exciting game for sure. And I think, 150 move first game, it bodes well for things to come. That's it. They end up coming through here. And here they are at the end of the day with our favorite commentator, Daniel King, in the middle. And that's it. So thanks for bearing with me, and there'll be more analysis to come. Bye.